Hi there and welcome back to another video. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Myra, and if you're a returning viewer, hi, welcome back. So today I have for you my January reads. So this month I read quite a bit of books, some fan fiction. I'll get into it, but it was a really good reading month. I read a total of 9 books, and I'm going to share with you what those books are, what I thought of them, how many stars I give them. But I'm going to try to do it without giving spoilers. I know last month, if you haven't seen my December reads, I'll go ahead and pin it up at the top if you want to go check it out. And I said I wasn't gonna do spoilers, but I did end up giving spoilers. So I'm debating. I don't know. I feel like it's so hard for me to not give spoilers, but at the same time, I don't want to do that if, you're clicking on this video to find out, about a book, right? So I don't want to spoil it. I'm going to try my best not to give any spoilers, but if they come out, I'm sorry. So this is your warning. There may or may not be spoilers, okay? All right, let's get into it. I did read some Dramione fan fictions this month. So if you don't know, Dramione, it's Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. So these are 2 characters I've shipped always, and I got into fan fictions of them, right? I feel like at this point everybody knows what fan fictions are, but in case you don't know, fan fictions are pretty much just fictional like stories that people write either on AO3, Wattpad, websites like that. And honestly, I found some good ones that were so good. Like they were written by authors that wrote really, really well. And I think 3 of these that I'm gonna talk about are actually getting turned into published books. Obviously, there's going to be some things changed into them, but oh my goodness, I cannot wait for them to come out. So, starting off with Manacled. So, if you haven't read Manacled, oh my god, it is so good. I mean, not just because it's Draco and Hermione, but the story itself, wow. So, first off, I want to say that was the first book I read this month, and just wow. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with what I rated it. So I gave it a 5 out of 5, honestly. A 5 out of 5 stars. Like, it was that good. I will say it is a little heavy because it is kind of like Harry Potter meets The Handmaid's Tale. So just kind of, there are some trigger warnings. So if you're not into like that dark kind of themings, then definitely don't read it. But if you are, oh my goodness. Although the only thing is it got taken down from AO3 because it's getting published this year, and it's actually getting turned into a book called Alchemized, which I've already pre-ordered because I cannot wait. It's coming out in like late September, so it'll be my birthday gift for myself. But wow, if you can find it, check out on Reddit. People might have it linked so that you can download. But it is so good. Oh my goodness. This is like, I'm just going to kind of give you a little preface of the story, but I'm not going to give any spoilers. So pretty much it's about, like life after. So if you're familiar with Harry Potter, it pretty much takes off after, I think it's Order of the Phoenix. I want to say it's Order of the Phoenix, if not the Half-Blood Prince. So pretty much it picks up there, and then it's kind of after that. So we kind of like, Voldemort won, the Order not failed necessarily, and Harry Potter is dead, Voldemort won, and this is pretty much where it picks up. And essentially there's like, due to the war, the wizarding world, like the population is really, really low, so there's a need to repopulate, right? So there's a lot of arranged marriages, but a lot of them can't have kids. So the prisoners of war end up kind of getting put into like a breeding program. So Hermione Granger is put into that. And she gets sent off to who? Draco Malfoy, right? It's a little hard because so she can't remember like certain memories. And pretty much the only way to get access to those memories are by her getting pregnant and then the dad of that baby like getting into her mind. I'm trying not to get too technical on the terminology because I feel like not everybody is a Harry Potter fan, but I feel like you have to have some background knowledge on Harry Potter to kind of enjoy the story a little bit more, but it's such a good story. Oh my goodness. And then, it kind of, and then it goes into all her memories once they're unlocked, and then it picks up from where it stopped off. Oh my goodness, it is crazy. There's so much going on, but pretty much it's a romance. It's like a romantasy. So it's romance and fantasy. Oh my goodness. My heart. Like, there's so many times I cried during this book. I'm calling it a book because it literally deserves to be called a book because it is so long. Oh my goodness. It took me like a week to read through it. I was staying up late at night reading it, like till 3, 4 in the morning, okay? I was reading it all day. It was amazing. It was so hard to put down. I cannot recommend it even more. The author, Sen Lin Yu, I think that's how it's pronounced. She is such an amazing author. Oh my goodness. I'm glad it's getting published because it's going to be a great story. But it definitely deserves all the hype that it gets, so I would definitely say check it out. Next, I read The Deal. So I needed something that was a little easier to read, not as dark, but kind of just to break away from, you know, the Dramione world, because Manacled, like the ending, it just hit me so hard. It does have a happily ever after, obviously, but I just needed something else, right, to take my mind off of it because it was so hard. So I immediately went into The Deal, and it was a cute kind of like cliche, like college romance. It was okay. It definitely reminded me a lot of Icebreaker. Essentially, they fall in love, you know. It's a cute story, but I don't think, like, at this point in my life, I'm into like college romances where like the characters are like so young, just because you know, a little bit more in my like later adulthood. So, but it's nice to kind of like read books like that because I didn't have the typical college experience, I would say. So it's nice to kind of live vicariously through those characters as well. So I liked it. It was cute. I honestly gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great. It's cute. You know, it's one of those happily ever afters. It's very easy to read. So I recommend it. It was good. Next, I read The Auction. So that's another Dramione fan fiction. So this one's also been taken down from AO3, but I found it on a Reddit thread. So if you want to read it, look on Reddit and you'll probably find it there. But oh my goodness, this one it's very similar to Manacled in some sense, where it's like dark. It picks up after the Deathly Hallows. So The Auction is actually supposed to be a story. It's like a part of like a 3-piece like fan fiction, but I didn't read the other 2. I read it as a standalone, which I think you can do. I don't want to like really get into it, but pretty much this one, there's an auction of like all of the war prisoners, I guess you could say. They're auctioned off to Death Eaters, and it is crazy. There's this like club they go to that's kind of like, I don't even want to call it a sex club, but a little bit kind of like it. Oh my god, it is just wild. But oh my goodness, my heart. I cried with this one as well. It was long as well. It's probably just as long as Manacled. It took me a bit to get through it, but oh my goodness, my heart, like, I loved it as well. I honestly give it a 5 out of 5 stars as well. It was so good. If you like Dramione fan fictions, read The Auction as well. It is great. It's a good one to kind of read after Manacled or before, but I was so obsessed I could not put it down. The one thing I didn't like, though, I will say, was the super abrupt ending at the end, because you don't know exactly for sure what happens. Like, I mean, you can theorize yourself, but I need to know. I need happy endings. That's just what I need. My closure, I need that. It honestly made me feel so many things, and I loved The Auction seeing more of like a different side of like Draco's parents. So it was nice, but it was definitely long. It was interesting. There was a lot of times where I was like so scared, like my anxiety was just through the roof. But that one's also getting turned into a book called Rose in Chains, which I've also pre-ordered. Surprise, surprise. I cannot wait for the book to come out. But it was so good. I definitely recommend it. After that, I read another Dramione fan fiction. I read Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Falling in Love. This one was a lot more of like an easier, happier kind of story in some sense. This one is a little bit more of like a different type of story. I liked it as a story itself. My only thing is the characters themselves didn't give me the vibes of like Draco and Hermione. Like, I felt like I was reading a story and they just happened to be named that, but it wasn't them. Did I like the story? Absolutely. I just felt like there was a lot of like scientifical like words that I kind of got lost sometimes. So that one was difficult to kind of read at the beginning. If you're not like really sciencey because it kind of revolves sort of around that. But it was good. I loved kind of seeing their like falling in love story. It was a lot of a slow burn, but it was so good. Like there was times honestly at the beginning though that I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it or if I even wanted to keep reading, but I just kind of kept pushing through, and then I liked it. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely more of like an adventure, cutesy kind of one. It's not as dark as the other two that I've mentioned so far. So I liked it. It's also getting turned into a book, I believe. That one is The Irresistible Urge of Falling for Your Enemy. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. But that one's also getting published into a book, I believe. But it's definitely easier to digest. So I recommend it. That one, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Next, another Dramione fanfiction. Surprise, surprise. So it's 10 out of 10. So this one was great. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I loved it. I devoured this story in a few hours. It was long. It was maybe like 400 pages, but I devoured this in like hours. I could not put it down. Like I was literally cooking and I had my Kindle like in my hand and I was like over here cooking because I needed to know what happened. It is so quick, super easy to read. I loved it. It's an arranged marriage kind of situation. Again, trying to like repopulate the earth. Well, not the earth, but like the wizarding world. But it's a lot easier, lighter. You still get that characterization of like Hermione, Draco, but it's not as dark. So I really, really loved it. It was so cute. I wish this one got turned into a story, but it was really good. I liked it. The only thing with this one was, though, that it was really spicy. So if you don't like spice, don't read it. If you do, read it. Because once it gets into it, it gets into it. Next, I read another Dramione fan fiction. I read Bloody, Slutty, and Pathetic. So this one was good. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it. It was on the longer side. It was also an arranged marriage type of situation. And this one had kind of a little... It wasn't like too light and airy. It wasn't also too dark. It was kind of somewhere in the middle. The characters definitely gave me Hermione Draco vibes. With this one, though, definitely Draco's a lot more submissive. Hermione's a little bit more of like a dominant kind of girly, which we love, a strong girly. But I didn't like that there was kind of a little bit of like, I don't even want to call it physical abuse, but they would get physical in the sense that they would like hurt each other, especially Hermione to Draco. Like, it was crazy. But it was a good story, not gonna lie. My only thing with like this story, well, actually with a lot of the Dramione fanfictions, is I hate the other characters. Like Harry, Ron, all of them are like horrible characters in these, which I get it. But it sucks to like dislike characters you typically like in the original story, right? But with this one, what I love was like jumped around a little bit. So the story did take place in like kind of a longer stretch of time. And the epilogue was so long, but you got to see a lot of like the future. It wasn't just like, oh, jump to one thing and that's the only thing you get. No, you get like tidbits of like different years, things like that. So it was really good. I really enjoyed it. The only thing so this one did have also some spice between like Draco and Hermione, but this one also focused on like other characters. So like Pansy and Theo. You also got to see a lot of like them, their relationships, that kind of thing. So that was kind of nice, but at the same time, at first I didn't really like it because I was in the story to find out about Draco and Hermione, not their friends. But after a while, you kind of come to enjoy it. So it's interesting. I liked it. And I love that we get a happy ending. So in case you're wondering. Next, okay, these last 3 books are like the big popular thing right now, okay? And it took a lot of convincing for me to get into a series. It takes really, really a lot of like hard work emotionally for me to get into a new series because I know once I'm into it and I love it, that's it for me. It's become my new personality and it really has. That's what I feared. So, I finally read Fourth Wing. So, if you don't know, I got Fourth Wing. I found it at Goodwill, actually, this exact book. It's hardcover, and it was brand new. Found it at Goodwill when I was doing some Christmas shopping. And I got it because it was, like, obviously a popular, like, book talk book. And I've heard all the hype about it. I read it. I'm literally getting goosebumps just remembering. I devoured this in 2 days, okay? This book, 2 days. I was sick. It was when I was sick, but oh my God, it was so good. I understand the hype behind it. 5 out of 5, easily. Okay, if you like fantasy, romance, dragons, drama, this is it. This is it. This is it. The only thing I will say is at the beginning, it was a little hard for me to kind of get into the story. But I feel like part of it was, one, I was sick. I had a fever. So I wasn't mentally fully here, right? And then also I feel like when you're kind of going into a new like world, like fantasy world, you're trying to understand how it works, right? So you're building pretty much a whole world in your mind for the first time. So I think that's kind of why at the beginning it was a little hard for me. But there wasn't ever a part in the story where I was like, I don't like it. Oh no. Immediately fell in love with the story. And I love that it's not predictable. At least I didn't think it was predictable. But wow. And can we talk about Xaden? We love a good shadow daddy, right? And oh my goodness, I love Violet. She's such a badass. Like, no se deja. And I love that for her. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to give any spoilers, but oh my God, it was so good. It also has good like plot twists and things like that. I love it. I love it. Next, obviously, I read Iron Flame. So with Iron Flame, also 5 out of 5. This book is a little longer than Fourth Wing, so it took me a few extra days to get through it. I was also sick, but oh, I really, really enjoyed it. Oh my God. Like, there was times where I cried, where I was laughing. Like, I'd be up late at night reading, and I literally had to cover my mouth so that I would not laugh out loud and wake up my daughter or my husband. And there was times where I was straight up crying, and I was having to wipe my tears. But it was so good. It was so, so good. Love the story. Just when you think it can't get any crazier, it does. Like, the entire time, the story is just kind of like moving, you know? And I feel like there isn't like a dull chapter where it's just a filler. I just feel like there's always something going on, and I just needed more. The one thing I will say about Fourth Wing, like they end in cliffhangers, right? Which is, I mean, a good thing because then it makes you excited for the next one. So literally immediately when I finished Fourth Wing, I went into Iron Flame. Immediately when I finished Iron Flame, I got into Onyx Storm. Let's get into what this bad boy was. I finished Onyx Storm literally in 2 days. I'm still going through an Onyx Storm hangover. It was a 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 stars as well. I really enjoyed it. I think that Rebecca Yarros definitely put some crack into these books because I am addicted. I'm sad that I read it really, really fast because I wish I would have savored it a little bit more. Because now I have to wait for the next book. Because if you don't know, Onyx Storm just came out in January. And now we have to wait for the next book. When the next book is coming out, I have no idea. I'm horrible at waiting. And it ended on a cliffhanger. And oh my God, I need to know what happens. I need to know. On my little notes, I literally have like crying faces because, oh my God, the story just gets crazier and crazier. Like, it's so hard not to go into it because I'm going to have to spoil it, right? And I don't want to do that in case you're thinking of getting into it because I know it was so hard for me to avoid spoilers online. So I don't want to do that. Like, I'm literally getting hot just remembering, right? So what I love about the Fourth Wing series, I'm just going to kind of talk about it as a whole instead of individually like the books. I love that they're not like super duper like spicy, I guess you would say. Like there's a few spice chapters here and there, but it's not like the whole story revolves around that, which was what I feared because from what I had seen online, it looked like that's all it was. And when it wasn't, I was like, okay, like I was pleasantly surprised, right? And I mean, they're adults, you know, but I'm a sucker for like some romance. And I love the story so, so much. It's just funny because I was telling my husband, like, obviously it's about dragons, but when I was what I was envisioning in my head, like the characters, I was envisioning them as like humans, right? But the dragons, for some reason in my head, I just kept imagining like cartoon dragons. So like I would envision like when Violet was like on her dragon, she'd be like a human, on like a dragon, kind of like from How to Train Your Dragon. That's literally what I pictured. And then I saw like fan edits, fan art on like Instagram of like the dragons, and I was like, oh yeah, no, that's not what I had in my head. So once I saw that, I kind of started picturing things a little bit differently, and oh my god, it's just crazy. I cannot recommend it more. I have not been this excited about a series in so long, probably since the Hunger Games. Like, I've literally spent the last 2 days just on Instagram watching other people's theories, because I need more. I need more. My little heart needs more, okay? And I'm kind of going through withdrawals from it. I know I need to read something soon, otherwise I'm gonna go into the worst reading slump ever. So that is it for this month's kind of book reads. So January was definitely a good one. I read a total of 9 books, and they were all really, really good books. Don't get me wrong, I read a lot of fan fiction, but you know what? They should be considered books because, one, they are just as long, if not longer, than actual books. And these ones that I read, oh my god, they were just so good. I definitely think I'm going to be reading more fan fiction from now on. You'll have to wait and see next month, see what I read for the month of February. Definitely, if you can't tell, I'm definitely a romance girly. I just really am. I'm just such a sucker for a good romance story. Like, that's fine. I've accepted it. Anyways, I'm sorry this video was way too long, longer than it needed to be, but I'm glad I was able to keep from spoiling things. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Leave me any comments of any like books you read this month, or any books you think I might like. Maybe after kind of hearing the books that I read this month, hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of the types of books that I like, because I'd love to get recommendations. I'm always looking to add to my TBR, even though it's on the longer side. But anyways, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.